r/Askreddit by Reddit and chill. When did the popular kid's life fall apart in a few seconds? Unfortunately, a cheerleader from my school had a four-wheeling accident that left her in an almost vegetative state. Through years and years of hard work on her part, she's been able to gain a little more independence. However, she'll never be exactly the same as she was before the accident. It's really sad and crazy how quickly your life can change from an accident. I graduated in 95 feet and shortly after, my mom asked if I knew this girl. I said yes. She showed me the obituaries. Apparently she was a passenger on a four-wheeler and the driver was speeding and made a sharp turn which resulted in her coming off the bike and straight into a tree. Died instantly. And that was a big time reality hit to me. Fresh out of school and a girl I knew died. I don't know that his life really fell apart, because it turns out his home life was terrible all along. But it definitely shifted how people looked at him. And I went to a small school, so there weren't too many divisions between people when you only have 40 something kids in a grade. Popular is kind of relative. But a kid's mom decided to leave her husband. The kid's stepdad. The stepdad, who was known to faculty and was considered a good guy, stopped by the school to deliver something to his stepson. Cool. The secretary gave him a pass to drop it off at the stepson's class, rather than call him down to the office. The stepdad actually had a gun and had no idea where the stepson was during that period, so was roaming the halls. Luckily, a friend of the stepson, who knew what an abusive, dangerous guy the stepdad was, happened to be in the office and alerted everyone. We all went on lockdown. The police came. We were stuck for a couple of hours as they swept the school after arresting the guy. Then, it came out that the kid had been abused for the entire time his mom had been married to the guy. And she only was leaving him after he started hitting her. It was a whole thing. And while everyone had pretty much always liked the kid, he suddenly just had everyone feeling sorry for him. Teachers let him go back and redo assignments to boost his grade. People gave him stuff to start over. He just kind of got really closed off and stopped joking around and only hung out with like 3 people after that. He was known as the abused kid with a stepdad who was going to shoot up a school, and that's hard to get over. I know better than some that it's best to not pity those trying to get better. It doesn't help with them moving on. In fact, after my dad split with his third girlfriend, he had a relationship standard problem or something. Everyone was feeling sorry for me even though it didn't faze me. I actually thought it was pretty normal. So after everyone was saying stuff like, "Oh, I'm so sorry and if you need anything, I'm here for you," which made me feel bad as if I'm just using their kindness without needing it. Then I met this girl. She did know all about the incident, and I, being my rude self, told her to move out my way since she was standing in my way. Unlike everyone else, she just ignored me. When I told her again, she said in a mocking voice, "If you really want me to move, you should say please. Just because you had something sucky happen to you doesn't mean you get special treatment." I have never forgotten these words. We became best friends and nothing more. So to make a long story short, it's better to let others get back to how things are. 3 popular kids went swimming in a quarry. Only 2 came out. It sucks because the one that died was popular for all the right reasons. He was a genuinely good dude. I was the weird kid. But his locker was right next to mine and he was friendly every single day to every single person. Something similar like this happened recently to a few guys that go to my old high school. It was like 1 AM. They went swimming in the local river that goes through town and one of the guys drowned. He was nice and friendly, but not popular since it was a really big school. His friends allegedly planned his death, but there were no punishments for them. He started doing heavy drugs and fist fought the vice principal. Parents kicked him out at 18. Haven't heard much since. He was an only child, and his dad had died when he was 2. Was really happy-go-lucky, and he was popular because he was outgoing, supportive, warm and kind to everybody without fail. And although he was friends with the kind of kids who bullied people, he was the first person to tell them to knock that shit off if he saw it. When we were 16, his mum, who was one of the nicest ladies I ever met in our small town, was crushed to death by a semi-trailer that drifted into her lane. He dropped out of school. He stopped talking to anybody. And he refused to let anyone visit him. I have no idea what became of him. Sorry Jay. I hope your life got better. Stuff like this makes me cry. Guy on the football team sent a girl's nudes to the entire football team and a good portion of people in my grade. Got arrested during class. I haven't seen him since. Was the girl under 18? Distribution of child pornography? He got made fun of because he wanted to wait to have sex with his new GF, popular girl, so he caved and did it. Teen pregnancy. I think the term peer pressure gets thrown around a lot like it's some everyday thing you can shrug off. And it very well can be. But then there's cases like this where it can permanently affect or destroy someone's life or reputation. Peer pressure needs to be taken more seriously. My brother was the popular kid in school. He was loved by everyone. And most of the people I graduated with know him, but since we have different last names didn't know we were related until I told them. He started pills in high school. Then coke. Then heroin. In and out of jail. Forced into rehab instead of serving jail time. Lived in our mom's basement until he was 30. He finally moved out but my parents pay his rent. He's a year sober now though. Sounds like my best friend. He was pretty much our grade's popular kid for the first 2 years of high school. Then we found out he was doing drugs being our back. He got sent to rehab for 6 months. Came back then got sent off again. Ended up graduating with us but by senior year most people didn't want to do with him besides me and his other really close friends. He died a couple months after graduating from a heroin relapse. His sister told me it was fentanyl. But who really knows? Miss him every day since he was like my brother. I thought I'd have him as my friend for life. When she got pregnant and a few years later she moved to another school district. Edit. Didn't expect this to explode and realize that it's common in most school districts. The captain of the football team underwent surgery his senior year. I was 13 on the middle school team. His younger brother and I were very close so I was around him a lot. So I looked up to him like an older brother. He drove me to early practices. Was very smart. Dated a pretty cheerleader. Not a mean bone in his body. He had it all. For a 13-year-old. He was my hero. After his surgery he got hooked on painkillers. He went from painkillers to heroin. He was been arrested multiple times for theft and drug possession. This went on for years. I would always ask my friend from middle school how he was doing. It never got better. He died last year. Drugs suck. I miss my hero. He sent a video of him sucking his own dong to his girlfriend and then it was leaked to the whole school. Is it possible to learn this power? Edit. Just the giving yourself head part. Nothing else. I'm not sure I would call him the popular kid. But in some circles he was. He was a bit of an arrogant ass in my opinion but had money and liked to spread it around. His dad was a wealth manager. Lots of friends, family, community members were clients. A few years after high school it came out that dad had embezzled millions. Their entire wealth was stolen from friends and family. This rocked him hard. Dad went to jail and he changed his name and totally became a different person. I saw him after that and barely recognized him. His personality and even his posture was different. I felt really bad for him. I ended up having a really good talk with him and I can only imagine what he has gone through. Edit. Bro. Lots of people have asked for details on location and was it so and so. Which tells me this has clearly happened before. I won't give any more details other than it wasn't in the US. His parents divorced and he started acting out. He went from good grades and clubs to failing and drugs. This guy I used to hang out with in elementary school was pretty overweight but I'd had the biggest crush on him. I lost track of him for a few years but by high school he came back and had lost all the weight. He was pretty athletic and was generally well liked. I didn't talk to him but the guy seemed decent. I guess he liked driving like an idiot. The year after he graduated he wrapped his car around a pole. They had to use the jaws of life to pull him out of his car but it was too late. Head died on impact. There had been multiple reports that night of people calling the cops to complain about his reckless driving around town. I just remember that chubby little boy I used to spend recess with every day. when he hit and killed a state trooper on the freeway while the trooper was out of his car trying to remove debris from the road. Holy duck. That's such a shitty way to immediately duck your life up forever. You ruin someone's family. Your own. Have to live with that guilt all because you made a mistake in a split second by accident. No one wins. These types of things are so awful, but I really do feel bad for the guy. Unless he was drunk. Duck drunk drivers. I actually ran into one of the super popular kids at the local bar when I came home from college. She would never give me the time of day in high school and I for sure thought she didn't even know I existed. But she approached me at the bar, super drunk, and said, "Hey, didn't I go to high school with you?" She then proceeded to tell me she wished she had been nicer to more people in high school and that she has no idea what she's doing with her life. Honestly feels good to know that she's thought about how she treated people back then. Not sure if that's the norm or just a weird occasion. Probably is the norm. Kids are stupid and in high school it's easy to get high on power or popularity, but after they will tend to realize that life isn't a high school musical movie. One of the popular kids at my school did cocaine in the bathroom and then saw a female security on his way out. So he decided to put her in a chokehold. But he then was shown how that was a huge mistake when that security guard was a ducking gymnast and she saved herself, got him in jail. A few of them shot at some tourists in a protected wildlife area. 2 or 3 of them went to prison. No injuries as far as I ever heard, but it was still really stupid. I'd moved out of town by that point, so any information I got was hearsay. Edit. Some people managed to dig the report up. It happened in Ely. In the BWCA. 6 guys were involved. And it actually turned out that the 2 kids that I thought were involved weren't. And a different, other popular kid was. Jay Olsen got 3 years for it. Having a hard time finding much more information. It's all very piecemeal. Twincities.com /Ely. MN. Her mom was diagnosed with dozens of brain tumors the beginning of our senior year. And died before Christmas. Girl went from stable, well off and beautiful to a wreck. Then off the map. After that, we lost 4 students violently, including 2 sisters stabbed by their stepdad. Staff quit. Pretty much no one in our senior class made it in life. Suicides followed graduation. 1999 was a really tough year for our school. Edit. Thanks for the awards. RIP inbox. This happened in Snoqualmie, WA. Aka Twin Peaks. I am doing okay these days. Despite a rough life. Can't say the same for the classmates that I did keep up with. Ongoing trauma is that much harder to process when literally everyone around you is grieving too. No one gets a pause long enough between deaths to ever fully heal from any of them. We did our best. 1999 was a messed up year for so many people and I don't know why. I think about that Offspring song Kids Ain't Alright a lot. What happened to the 2 other students? Lost control of his car when he and his best friend were driving to Taco Bell at night. He came out of it with a fractured collarbone. His friend died on the spot. He was really close with his friend's parents too and vice versa. He made a few posts on Facebook on how he was an idiot and how sorry he was. The dead friend's sister and parents made it very clear that they didn't blame him. It was winter. Black ice. And he was 100% sober. Before he was, like, a stereotypical popular dude but in the wholesome way. Dropped out of school and became addicted to painkillers. Don't know what happened to him afterwards, but it was just sad for everyone. These are the ones that hurt the most because the person who lived was 100% not at fault for it, but they can't come to terms with that fact and put it all on themselves. One girl during my school years was walking with her BF in her neighborhood when a guy driving a bit too fast clipped her and killed her on impact, and the BF was perfectly fine. The BF couldn't live with that and got hard into drugs after that. It was rough to see. One kid on school was popular only because he liked to start shit and bully everyone. So most people were friends with him just to avoid being a victim. One day he tried that on the wrong kid. Got beat up so bad to the point he started crying. Honestly, I think it was a win for the bully because it gave him a pretty good wake up call. Became less of a bully and is now quite humble. I know a big high school bully who thought it would be funny to punch this male teacher in the teacher's back when the teacher was walking in front of the bully. He picked the wrong teacher. Teacher instinctively reacted and punched the bully back. Bully went down hard. Bully got suspended and nothing else happened to him or the teacher. About 8 years later, the bully came back to the high school and asked to talk with the teacher. He actually thanked the teacher for what happened that day. Bully said to the teacher that punch completely changed the course of his life. He was running with a rough crowd and thought he was big and bad. He thought nothing of beating people up. After the incident and getting punched by the teacher, he realized that he underestimated how quickly things change when you go up against the wrong guy. He completely changed how he approached the world. Got out of trouble. Got a good job. And was about to get married. And he credits that incident with changing the course of his life. Punching the wrong person. Ducking like and subscribe.